Hey everybody, Steve here for Who Took My Dice Ultramarines Beyond, and welcome to my end of summer Q&A. I promised I would make one, and here it is. Squeaking it just at the last second here. I'm just trying to get my questions up as we're at the very end of August. But I promised to get up. I got some great questions, so we're going to go through these. It was awesome. So thank you to everybody who sent me questions. These are really good questions too. I love them. A whole bunch of different stuff. But we'll go through them here. So first off, without further ado, we're going to go from Wolf Brother Hobbies asked a bunch. So he says, we all know that you're a loyal son of the Imperium who loves the Ultramarines and the Mobians of his Imperial Guard. What are your favorite Xenos factions and Chaos factions? What do you like about them? My favorite, first off, thank you for the questions. There's a bunch, but thank you at the beginning. My favorite Xenos faction is probably the Drukhari, the Dark Eldar, simply because first off, they're the exact opposite of my Ultramarines, right? Noble, heroic warriors fighting for, the Imperium and all that. And then you have the Drukhari, who are selfish in the extreme, fighting only for themselves, their own personal glory or their own survival. There's also tragedy to them, that their very existence is why they're doomed to the life they live, right? They have to live off the suffering of others, and that's because they couldn't stop being hedonistic jackholes that birthed the Chaos God. So there's something cool about that, right? I've read the omnibus, The Path of the Dark Eldar, which is great, amazing story. Vect is probably one of my favorite villainous characters in 40k, just because he does not care. He will destroy his entire race just to stay in top, which is insanely twisted. As for Chaos, my favorite Chaos faction is probably the Death Guard. For kind of the same reason, because they were kind of doomed from the get-go. But there was, you have characters like Nathaniel Garrow, who just, there was resilience to him. He could keep going no matter what, and that was a hallmark of the Death Guard, this absolute resilience in battle. Obviously, Nurgle twisted that, but yeah, I think definitely the Death Guard. Let's see here. 10th edition has been called the Edition of Lost due to all the data sheets that have been taken away. Which unit has been lost this edition, and do you lament the most? Which unit am I saddest about? God, there's so many, because the Space Marines got hit so hard. Basically, anything old other than Devastator squads and tactical squads are gone. And to the Terminator assault squads, but they're going to go eventually too once we get a new one. For me, obviously, I'm a huge fan of Trying War Veterans, so that probably one hurt the most. But we lost a lot of characters too. So many characters disappeared or changed, but for the most part, we lost Cronus, we lost Tellian, we lost Cassius. Lost every single unit that Space Marines had that was old, gone, right? So I think I lament the fact that, so many models disappeared. But yeah, for me, it's Trying War Veterans, because every army, almost every Space Marine chapter has a unit that's cool, right? If you look at the Blood Angels, they have their Death Company, they've got their Sanguinary Guard. Space Wolves have pretty much every model in their army, the Gray Hunters, all their Wolf Guard guys, everything. Dark Angels have their Raven Wing and their Death Wing, all this cool stuff. For the Ultramarines, it was the Trying War Veterans. And, I get why they're gone. They're really old models. They're over 20 years old when they finally disappeared. But they were unique, and they stood out, and they were cool. And they progressively got worse, too. They were really great in 6th edition. And 4th edition, they were amazing. 6th edition, they were great. And 7th as well, because he was the same data slate. Once 8th hit, they were still really good, because they were veterans. So they were good against pretty much everything, but extra good against your Tyranids. And then 10th edition, when they got their last sort of update, they became really good against Tyranids, and that's it. Now they are devastating against Tyranids, but that's it. So they kind of went downhill. But yeah, that's one I missed the most of all the units that we lost, which is many. All right. Which death in 40k lore has been the most impactful for you? Well, that's the funny thing. I really don't think there has been a death in 40k. Well, there's some in the horror series that are pretty impactful, but you said 40k, so we'll stick to that. I got, I'll say, I know a lot of people will say that it's old One Eye there, Commissar Yarrick, but I mean, is he really dead? Don't know. But I don't really think there's many deaths that have been overly harsh for me in 40k. That's kind of how 40k is. Going into a lot of these stories that certain characters are going to end up dead. And that's the end. 40k, it's always super dark. So even the happy endings, even the greatest victories, usually pirate victories, they're just devastating victories. I don't think there's been a death that's been super impactful for me in 40k. There's been a few that you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Time for this character to go. Just trying to think of some of them right now. Honestly, I don't really think there's been a single death that's been impactful for me. Sorry. I haven't. All right. We have here from William Brom KW5JO. Thank you very much. Says, favorite piece of lore, book, or short story in the 40k universe. Oh my God, there's been so much lore that I've read through over the years, from the Horus Heresy stuff, the Ventress omnibuses. I've read through, the Demon World book is amazing. That's a great fluffy one. That's basically an entire story that takes place in a demon world in the warp. So there's no good guys. Good guys. Let's see. There's been so much stuff. The Gaunt's Ghost stuff. I think the Uriel Ventress stuff is amazing. His omnibus is great. The one that's always stuck with me, and it's from an old anthology book from way back in 3rd edition. It's always stuck with me, so it's probably my favorite. It has to do with the Doom Eagles, which are an Ultramarine successor chapter, who are very much on they are grim. One of their sayings is that we're dead already. So death in battle means nothing because they're dead already. But what makes it my favorite story is there's two stories entwined together. Basically, it's the Doom Eagles selecting a new group of young kids to be inducted into the chapter, right, as aspirants. So you get that story, and there's these two brothers who have been selected to become, hopeful recruits for the Doom Eagles. But you have a story going at the same time of just how messed up these two brothers are, and what happened. So you have the story of them going through absolute hell, going through all the trials. They're on the Doom Eagles live on a planet high up in the mountains, right? So there's lots of stuff. They're getting attacked by aerial creatures, right? Weird bat things or almost mini dragon things that are picking them off one by one as these two brothers are trying to make through. They're in catacombs crawling through these mountain things where there's splashes of acid coming through. The very water itself is acidic and just killing people left, right, and center. But you also get the other story of these two brothers, one who is super beloved by a father, and the other one who, no matter what he did, could never get the same love. And that's obviously in the real world, that's a bad thing. You don't want to do that as a dad. And then you see the two brothers as they're going through these trials, the beloved brother going, well, I could just lay here and die, but I might as well go on. And he just sort of keeps going. And the second brother, the unloved one, is like, I've got to beat my brother. I've got to beat my brother. And this mental thing is very important at the end. So when they finally make it to this top of this peak, and there's only a handful left, they have to get in these rickety gliders, right? The Doom Eagles are big on jetpacks and all that, right? And they take off, and a couple of kids, the membranes on the gliders break, and everyone just falls apart. They follow their doom. It's all that's left is the two brothers, and when they finally land, the unloved brother makes it, and he's so happy. He's like, I beat you, I won, and he just breaks down crying, right? Obviously, through all the mental torture they had to go through, and the fact that he finally beat the beloved brother. And that's when a Doom Eagle librarian descends this big jetpack, lands, and he looks at the two brothers and reads their mind. And the unloved brother is like, I won. And the unloved, or the loved brother, I should say, it was like, well, I guess, it doesn't matter what happens to me. And of course, the Doom Eagle points at the loved brother going, you've made it. And he takes him in. And the unloved brother is like, but I won. And he's distraught. He's destroyed. And then, of course, the big doors that they're right in front of the area of the Doom Eagles slam shut. And the line is and he said, yeah, both brothers died in their own way, which stuck with me. Because one is becoming a Doom Eagle, and their whole thing is we're already dead. So he's dying his way. And, of course, the unloved brother who won finally, who showed up his brother finally, is going to die out there. They don't care. He's going to die on this doorway to the chapter, whatever. It's always stuck with me. It's probably one of the best short stories, best bits of lore, just because it's so grim and but it's perfect 40K. So thank you for that question. Thank you very much. If I get my phone, this would be much easier. All right, so we answered those ones. We have more though. Where'd it go? Yes, we have one here from Idig Beer, Mr. Necron. He says, what do you think Games Workshop will do with 11th edition, and what would you like to see Games Workshop do with it? I have a feeling 11th edition is probably going to be a cleanup, a big cleanup, and they need one. I think it'll help them figure out more points balances. I'm hoping it'll clean up some of the rules, allow them to really get things as efficient as they possibly can on terms of the actual, rules. I hope it cleans up the rules, because there's just too many rules. The rules bloat is huge, and things need to be pared down. They need to be made simpler. I think it'll help them, get their rules more efficient as well. Hopefully it'll help balance the game even more. That being said, I really, really hope 11th edition sort of swings the pendulum back a little bit into where they do cover more of the hobby stuff, put up more terrain. I do not know why they got rid of modular terrain. I loved modular terrain. Now, I get why they do it now, because the tournament side is taken over so much, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having a very strong tournament scene, right? It's great. It's really brought, I think, a lot of attention to 40K and Games Workshop in general. But they've swung it so far that the narrative side, the hobby side, has really suffered. Terrain is very basic. It's very boring, to me anyways. I'd like to see it sort of swing back a bit. Don't ignore what was already there, because it's very, very important. And I don't want to see the competitive side have any issues. I don't think that'd be cool. I would love to see them. I'd love to see it. I'd just like to see it swing back and have some more narrative fun. I'd like to see a bit more fluff go back in the codexes. I think in terms of the codexes themselves for 11th edition, I think they need to take all the Crusade stuff out. Maybe make this Crusade stuff a free PDF, because it just takes up a lot of space. I'd love to see them put more fluff in there like they did before. To give people stories as to why their armies are fighting, other than Army A is fighting Army B because competitive play. The other thing is, I would love to see Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Black Templars, anything that isn't a Codex chapter, get everything they need in their Codex. You should not have to have 2 Codexes to play Blood Angels. It shouldn't be a supplement. It should be, here's your Codex Space Marines, here's Codex Dark Angels, here's Codex Blood Angels, here's Space Wolves, here's Black Templars, and they have everything they need in that book. I get making money and capitalism and all that, but they definitely need to have everything in its own book. They've done it before; they can do it again. But everything should be in its own book. I shouldn't have to take its Codex Space Marines and then the Blood Angels. I don't like it. To me, that's what they need to do. And lastly, they need to sort of get their head on straight about some of these armies that they've started and then just sort of abandoned. Like the Inari stuff. It's very, it was a massive step forward story-wise, and now they've just kind of floundered in obscurity. Like there's they came out a new faction of Eldari that brings everything together, and then they just kind of disappeared. Like they got some stuff in the during the end of 7th edition with the whole bringing Gulliman back and all that other stuff, and then during the Psyche Awakening they had a bunch of stuff, but that really just repeated what already happened. It didn't bring anything new. So I'd like to see them sort of smarten up and go, okay, let's focus here. So great question. Thank you, Nick. That's an awesome question. Very cool. Let's see what else we got here. There are more. Here we go. So we got a whole bunch from Mr. Fish. Thank you, Mr. Fish. And guys, I will, in the description, I'll put down their channel so you guys go watch this. If you haven't already, which is a shame if you're not, go check them out because they're great people, all of them. So he has a whole bunch of questions. So what's your favorite model to paint? Now, I don't know if you mean like a specific model or just a genre of model. So far, my favorite model to paint of last little while was none other than Lieutenant Titus. It's a fantastic model, dynamic, lots of detail. Caught him perfectly. That was one of my favorite models. In general, Space Marines, I love painting Space Marines. I love the armor, the sharpness of it. Tyrannic War Veterans with that really cool armor that they wore, which is different than anybody else's, was a lot of fun. But yeah, definitely Space Marines, and then specifically Titus was just phenomenal. Great model, lots of detail. They really translated him well from the video game to tabletop. Actually, it's cool. I just put this poster up here. Speaking of armor, it's from the latest issue, White Dwarf, the Space Marine one. It's really cool because it's got all the marks up to 8 and then 10. I don't know why we don't have a Mark 9 armor, but it's got all the Phobos armor and the Gravis armor too. Starting at the Thunder Warrior all the way to the what is that one? The Errant armor and the Aguila, the Corvus, all that stuff. Very cool. Just speaking of armor, and it's behind me there. But yeah, Space Marines in general are my favorite to paint. Favorite paint job. My favorite paint job ever. He's buried away. I don't want to go get him now. I painted up a small little display piece called Victory at Calth, and it has a Space Marine with a sword standing over the prone body of a word bearer, right? And it's probably my favorite paint job because I spent so much time even getting the eyes done, the mouth. I followed the heavy metal painting guide for Space Marines on it. It took me a long time. It's probably my favorite paint job of all time. I will post that up. I've posted before, but I'll find it and I'll take a picture of it. As it's my favorite paint job. My least favorite paint job. And all right, this is a good one. The least favorite paint job I ever did, period, was Moria Goblins. And that's because I had to do 50 of them. And it was almost like, it's when I was working in Games Workshop. I just started there. And they wanted me to learn to paint really well, really fast. So I had to paint 50 Moria Goblins. And I think I did really well on them, but I couldn't stand it. It was because they were being painted up quickly for a Games Day event that was coming up. I didn't have time to fully refine them. It was basically just sort of get them done because people weren't really going to care too much, but I felt rushed. I mean, it was good. It really helped me with my own painting technique, but I didn't like it at all. I'm painting 50 of them. There's one point I got up, I got all lightheaded because I had been literally doing this for like hours, right? And I had to do the whole thing. So it was like metal on all of them and then the green skin and then highlight the green skin and then some red on all the fabric and then a bit more of this. It was just like, and then basing them all a specific way because it was going to games day. It had to have a cohesive look with other units being made by other stores. So it was, my least favorite paint job. Let's see here. If you had to start over, what factions would you choose and why? If I had to start all over from scratch, I mean, I know I'm tempted to say I'd play Space Marines again, but if I had to start all over, and let's take Space Marines out of the equation, I'd probably say Drukhari. Because, again, they look cool. I like the background fluff for them. There's a uniqueness to them, obviously being the ultimate glass hammer. They can hit hard, but if you make a mistake, there's no really like saving you from that mistake. Space Marines tend to be a bit more forgiving. Drukhari, not at all. If you screw up, you're going to pay for it. But I like the storylines. I like the backgrounds for them. I like the models. I think some of their sculpts are some of the best. So yeah, I'd go with the Drukhari. Let's see, what else have we got here? How's 10th edition been? I know a lot of people have had issues with it. I have had so much fun playing 10th edition since, earlier this year when I started playing again. It's been so much fun. There's lots to learn. I tend to be a person that takes things kind of as they are. Doesn't mean that I don't stand for anything, which I do, but for something like this, it's like, okay, well, this is 10th edition. I can either sit here and dislike it or I can play it. And I decided to play it. There's been a lot of things I've questioned, right? Going, well, why is that a rule? That's silly. Why did they do that? Why did they do? But at the end of the day, you just sort of go, okay, and you just keep rolling those dice. So that's, 10th has been fun for me. And again, I finally started playing again earlier this year. So that's been a ton of fun. It's been great. I haven't had a game for a while, since probably June, but you know what? It's been fun, and I'll hopefully get more games in soon. Summer was busy for everybody. So you're kind of a repetitive question, but dude, are you excited or scared for 10.5/11th edition around the corner, and why? I'm definitely excited for every new edition, because while it does tend to carry on from other editions, with some possible exceptions. Third edition was a massive change from second, and then eighth was a pretty major change from seventh, and even ninth and 10th were some pretty big changes from eighth. So I'm always excited, scared. I don't know. I'm apprehensive whenever there's a new edition, because now I have to relearn the rules all over again, and things that have become cemented in my brain when it comes to gaming now are going to be changing, because the rules will change in certain ways here and there. Then I have to relearn the army rules because they tend to change those. And I'm worried that it's going to stay sort of the way it is right now. I'm hoping that they can simplify a few things that need to be simplified. I hope they can, like as I said before, I hope they can bring in a bit more narrative stuff. That was the stuff I loved. I'm a fluff junkie. I'm not super competitive when I play a game. My army can blow off the board and I'll laugh the whole time, right? Because it's a game. It's meant to be fun. On a side note, people take this way too seriously. Just way too seriously. But yeah, I think it'll be fine. Oh, someone's texting me. It's all good. Now, all right, back to some more questions here. Sorry, guys. Someone just text me there quickly. He's got some funny ones here. King Kong or Godzilla? Well, I have always been a Godzilla guy. I remember watching the old Toho films, the black and whites, all the new stuff too. The only one I didn't like was the North American version with Matthew Broderick. That was a horrible, horrible film. Just the worst Godzilla film. But all the other ones, even the latest ones, have been absolutely amazing. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. Much more than that giant oversized monkey, King Kong. I'm Team Godzilla all the way. Fight me for it. That's a good one. Let's see. Chips on a sandwich, yes or no? Favorite sandwich? It was probably about a decade ago when I first had chips, and by chips, I'm wondering if you mean like fries chips or chips. For me, I've had chips on sandwiches before, like potato chips. It's amazing putting them in a sandwich. French fries, I haven't had. I'm not sure which version of chips. I know this. But I'm going to assume you mean like potato chips. I've had them on a sandwich. They're great. They add a wonderful bit of crunch to a good sandwich. But yeah, they're good. They're really good. My favorite sandwich is a nice like turkey club. I love turkey club. A little bit of bacon, cheese, some nice juicy turkey, some mayo, lettuce, all that good stuff. Chef's kiss on that right there. Love that stuff. That's a good one. That's a good. And of course, yes. Why is the Emperor Mankind secretly the Great Horned Rat and humans as Skaven scum ripping through reality? Now, as funny as that one is, there is a little bit of poetry to that, because in 40k, humans pretty much are the Skaven in a way. They've taken over the entirety of the galaxy. They're constantly fighting, bickering amongst themselves. Everybody hates them. Any of the major old races like the Necrons, the Eldari, think of them as vermin and have no problem trying to wipe them out. They're continually backstabbing each other. Not so much in terms of the Astartes, but I mean, how many stories, how many fluffy little bits of stories, or even stuff in the grander scheme when they're trying to push a story. One Imperial commander backstabs another. You've got assassins taking out people because they become too powerful not to be dealt with. If you look at Macarius, the Macarius Crusade, it ends with him being killed by assassins because the Imperium fears him because he's become so powerful. So yeah, there is. I mean, I think it's probably meant as a joke, but there is some real truth to that. That yeah, humans in 40k are pretty much vermin, right? I mean, they eat their own. Corpse starch is exactly what it sounds like. It is food made out of dead people, processed dead people. Soylent Green is people. 40k's got corpse starch. It's kind of gross, but hey, that's what you get for that. Now, there was another question someone asked me that I thought was very interesting. It's not one of the ones that was sent to me, but it was a acquaintance of mine asked me, because you're talking about 40k. We got talking about the video game Space Marine 2, because he's been playing that, and I'm like, I haven't played that one yet. I still haven't. But I picked up the Recruit Edition. I've got Titus, the model. I played the original one. I've seen the Amazon Prime show there with, he just is freaking awesome. And we also talked about other stuff. We got on Fallout too, right? Because I played Fallout 3, 4, Vegas, 76, right? I played a bunch of the games. They're a lot of fun. And they have there's a tabletop game of Fallout, and he asked me who would win between Fallout and 40k, right? So I'm like I gotta talk about this. I have to talk about this, and it's one that if you're a Fallout fan, you're not gonna like the answer. So don't hate me if you don't like the answer, but you're not gonna like the answer. In a full-on war, Fallout 40k, 10 times out of 10, 40k wins. Little battles and skirmishes, I can see, certain armies from Fallout getting upper hand and winning here and there. But 10 times out of 10, a full-scale war, 40k will always beat Fallout. And the reason why isn't because, this power armor is better than this power armor, and these soldiers are better, and it comes down to the makeup of each universe. It's down right to the core of how each universe is presented. Now, 40k, everything is huge. Everything is massive. The armies are massive. Even small games of like Kill Team, where you only got like 10 models or so, they're still massive. You still got huge guys in power armor, or massive orcs, or Tyranid. Even If you get to the more human stuff, or even hell, the squats or your ratlings, they still got massive guns, right? Then you get to the bigger battles, or massive tanks, huge warriors, huge beasts, knights and titans and tanks and bioforms. It's everywhere, right? Gargants, everything's massive. It's on a huge scale, right? It's huge. It's over the top big. So if you're looking at a battle, even if we say we take the Brotherhood of Steel versus the Imperial Guard, right? Or the NCR versus the Imperial Guard, you're going to have an Imperial Guard army arrive with everything it needs to fight. And they will outdo, outshoot, outmaneuver anything that Fallout has. Simply because, and this is what comes to the Fallout part, Fallout is a whole story of scarceness. You're rebuilding a destroyed world. You're living in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where everybody's trying to scrounge things up, right? Whether it's Fallout 4, New Vegas, Fallout 3, 4, New Vegas, 76, you're rebuilding stuff from scrap, right? Even like Fallout 4, the Fallout 3, you've got the Brotherhood of Steel there. You've got, I can't remember the names. You got Megaton. People have built a shanty town, a scrap town out of plane parts, and but everybody's just scrounging for stuff. In Fallout 4, you have what I call fetch and carry quests. Whether it's like, oh, we need more of this. I played a lot of time. I always took the Brotherhood of Steel side because I wanted kick-ass power. I mean, you get it, but it was just cool to be the Brotherhood of Steel. But they're like, hey, we made it here with the Pridwin. We need coolant. You need to get us those coolant stuff. You came over here without a reliable source of coolant to keep your engines going. But that's Fallout. It's scarcity. It's rebuilding. It's, you don't have, the backup supplies of an Imperial Guard regiment. So that's why, at the end, it's these two universes are so different. 40K has just this massive advantage, right? And anything, for the most part, that Fallout could throw at 40K, even if it's a guard, and that just be nice because it's human. Guard faced against orcs. That's like your super mutants. They faced off against Tyranids, which are far worse than Deathclaws. They faced off against Necrons, which are worse than the Robo-Brains. They've faced off against all sorts of craziness that would make any sort of weird cryptid or mutated animal in Fallout pale in comparison, right? Even something like Liberty Prime. Guard have weapons to take out Liberty Prime. They could do it like that, right? The Pridwin would go down like a hot ball of lead very easily to any Guard regiment for the most part. But I don't want that to change. Fallout is cool because it's Fallout, and 40K is cool because it's 40K. But I had to talk about it because it was stirring in the back of my mind going, who would win? And I had to think about it. I'm like, you got Fat Mans with your mini nukes, you got Gatling lasers, you got Liberty Prime, you got all Deathclaws. But you look at 40K, it's like a Deathclaw would just be a snack to a Carnifex, right? Super mutants are cool. Orcs, well, they might actually befriend them, but orcs would take super mutants down like that. It just wouldn't be fair. Liberty Prime would get wrecked by a Gargan. Easy, just not even in the same. Even Liberty Prime's throwing nukes, it might blow a bunch of orcs up, but they just keep coming, right? And then you get in the really esoteric stuff, like if the Dark Eldar, the Drukhari, decide to invade, there's not much that any person or creature or being on Fallout could ever do to stop them, right? It'd just be too crazy. But the two universes are so far apart, but they're really cool. But yeah, it's a long-winded way of saying Fallout, 40K, deathmatch, who would win? 40K all the time. But I am out of questions now, guys. So thank you very much for everybody who sent questions. If I can get back my phone, this would help. I want to thank everybody who sent me questions. Everybody, took the time. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you listen to it while you did some painting, have a pint, whatever. But thank you very much, everybody, for the questions again, and thank you for watching through this. Thank you for all the support. We're coming into what is my favorite time of year. We're going to have Halloween soon, and I am preparing another Halloween episode, or I should say video, another Halloween video. And I am prepping right now. I'll give you a little sneak peek here. I've got this base done, a little tree on there, some presents for the Christmas episode. Not just a sneak peek, it's just a little base there. You can see some presents, a tree. That's actually just the way that I found this base. It's awesome. That's all just 3D printed, but it looks like snow. Someone is going on that, but that is for the Christmas one, which is still months away. But I wanted to get it prepped so I have time to work things out, get some more terrain done up for it to make it really special. So those are coming in, the next few months or so. But thank you very much, everybody. As always, if you like this, please hit the like button, subscribe, share with your friends, do whatever you want. Always love to see new people, though, and it supports the channel, which is very nice. As always, guys, keep rolling those dice. We'll see you later. Bye.